All right. Good. Hi, everyone. How are you all? Oh, wait. Now I can hear, I think.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Having a lot going on this morning was, I think, 400 things to grade. So I'm a little bit just getting me in the Zoom space here. Any questions for the first week that any of you guys have to start off? How do you feel about the class? Are you finding your way around? Any concerns? Any?
I have some, but I will talk about after the class.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, we could do that. I'm gonna record this too here. Sorry.
Recording in progress.
There you go. All right. Anybody else in terms of the class? Are you getting a way around? Do you? Oh, here. I'll talk about after class too. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, just in terms of the format of the Zooms, I try to look at chat, but it's hard for me to catch everything. I'm a little ADHD-ish kind. You probably understand, or many of you do. And so just interrupt me if you have a question or if you need to say something. It's not rude in this format. I created that rule. It's not rude for you to say stop and talking to me. So interrupt me because then because I keep talking and I want to make sure you can do that. Okay, and I want you to do that. Actually, I urge you to do that. I prefer a conversational class on Zoom than just me lecturing at you and talking at you. So ask questions while they come up. Okay. With any questions? Anybody else? Or then if not, what we usually do doing the Zoom, especially now that we're back in a classroom with a lab, so we do see each other in person as well. So the Zoom is really sort of a Monday morning get together where you can ask me questions. I know not everybody can make it. It's optional. It's not required to come. That's why I record them and then I upload them. Because the other thing I want to do during those Zoom times is just preview the week. What we're doing, because when we get into the classroom, then we just do, and we got a fairly big class, so then we just do what we do in the room, the lab parts, and on the Zoom we can do sort of on Canvas we can keep track of the assignments and do the other parts and the lectures, because I don't need to stand in a classroom and lecture you and you fall asleep. To me after driving for an hour. We have this stuff on Zoom, on YouTube at this point, or on the Canvas for that matter. And so the Monday morning is really here to sort of preview the week, have you ask questions. We can go deeper in a topic if you'd like. We can also do that in a classroom. We can always do that as well there. It's very important to me that you get as much explained as possible, that you don't have gaps in your learning, because that's what we see is the problem later on. Then when you go to nursing school and you miss something early on, then that stays missing in the knowledge part. So that's why it's important to ask questions and be investigative and be a pain in my butt. That's fine, because I tell you if I don't know. But I've been in clinic for over, I don't know how many years now, decades now. I'm getting old, I shouldn't say that. So I've seen a lot of things, so there is, after a while, you get a little bit of an understanding of how things work, and what's important. So I'm happy to tell you if I don't know. That has also proven to be very helpful for the students to understand sort of the guiding instead of me just making up stuff. Anyway, but ask questions. So if there's no questions, we're gonna go right into.
Can I get you anything?
And then don't make sure you go on mute if you don't talk, if you can, and if it's too much, then we have somebody else co-host it that helps me with that. It's nothing against anybody, just so we have sort of structure. Anyway, when we look at the week 2, this is week 2, is that correct? I think so, right? Yes. We did week 1. So week 1 was all right. You guys were okay with this health kit stuff? Any questions on that?
Yeah, I have some questions on it.
All right, now
Same
let's
here.
do that.
I was like kind of confused on like how we're actually supposed to set it up. If you could just like maybe go over it after class, if it's gonna take up too much time, just like kind of
No,
show me how to like
this is
go
part of
through
this
it.
whole deal. So where did you get sort of stuck in the process?
Hold on, let me pull up the assignment real quick.
Let me make me a little smaller here. I don't need to be so big. Come on. There you go.
Okay, so when it's talking about the categories, so we're supposed to write something under each one of those categories, or is that supposed to be in like each like section? Because it says there's like 3 sections to the assignment.
Mm-hmm. So the first, it's gonna take a moment to upload, but I'll be all right. So the first part is where you score yourself. You just score yourself. You can write something. Generally, when I think about these things, I think of a few things immediately come sort of to mind as I'm thinking about it. How can I make something better, or what am I not doing, or it's a reflective sort of thing, and that's kind of what that is, where you can take some notes of. I think in the booklets there or in the handouts there is some space to write down for each of the categories, a line or so. So that's what I meant with that. So, but what we basically need in terms of the submission, what you give me is really the score on that, your own score.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter to me
so
what score it is. It's really for
our
you.
own categories and our own score.
Huh?
So we're making our own categories and our own score?
No, let's go down. The categories, the assessment is down here. See these categories?
Yeah.
So you score yourself in each of that. You read this prompt and say, like, how is my posture? And you just give yourself a number from 1 to 10.
Okay.
Wherever that says 1 to 10. Somewhere it says 1 to 10. Yeah, there you go. And 1 is usually I'm not doing a good job. I'm slouching. I'm laying in the bed and do the assignments with the head propped up or something like that, right? What we all do. But we want to be a little analytical. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just it's about becoming a little mindful. And obviously, when we sit here and we have to study after a while, it does help to be in posture that's better, because then we get less tired. So you have this in posture, in eating, digestion, and you just go through these and score yourself. And then you count together the score, and that's your first upload. So that's this one. And then number 2 is as you go through this habit thing or this live assessment, you have some thoughts. And let's say for me, it would be like, I'd like to decrease my coffee intake, for example. And then because what I do here in the number 2 is I describe the habit loop of having something that triggers it. Like for me, I wake up and I'm sluggish and I need to have some brain cells working. So I'm going to have a coffee trigger. Then you do the action, whatever it is, you drink the coffee, and then what's your reward? Well, I'm awake more. And of course, the problem then with coffee is getting at some point it gets too jittery and it's not awake. It's more like too much. But I like it too much. So I want to decrease that. So how can I work with those elements that to decrease something? Like, for example, I could say, well, maybe I could sleep a little longer so I'm not as tired when I wake up. I mean, that would be a solution. I'm not sure I could do that, but it would be.
Okay.
And so I want to work with that, just get through the steps. Or maybe I'll take away the coffee beans, so I have to go buy the damn coffee, so I'm not going to do it. It's sort of like work with myself. How would I change my behavior? Or adding something, like you want to go take a walk in the morning. Maybe instead of the shoes in the closet, you have to go find them. They are right there when you stand out of bed, you fall over them. And that reminds you that you're going to go have a walk. And so that's sort of the thinking of the second one. Nothing too deep, just a few thoughts,
Okay.
Don't go too deep on it. We just want to kind of, think about this since we talk about these kind of things, apply it a little bit. And then the third one, this is where we go in the health challenge. So what I want us to do as a group, because as a group we kind of can help each other create a habit a little bit. And so I have these 3 challenges, and you pick one of the 3. You don't have to do all of them. So either I ask people to track their exercise for 30 minutes a day, or track their drinking water, 2 quarts, which is kind of normal, more or less what people say, or the science says we should sort of take in. We can argue up and down a little bit, but 2 quarts, we're just tracking it. Or then a third group, you can choose to do something mindful, like meditate or pray actively for 10 minutes a day. And then we track those, and I have a little habit tracker here. Although I have a new one that I made. I'm going to load that up too. That doesn't really go too much into the feelings, but tracks different habits. And then what I want you to do, and I do it too, for 5 days a week for 3 weeks, follow one of these challenges. And again, like, drinking, if you're like, oh my God, I don't have time for anything, well, just track your water intake. Because it's kind of good to do that anyway once in a while, because generally in our busy lifestyle, the more the stress goes up, the less the water goes, the more the water goes down. It's kind of, a lot of us forget, right? And so I want us to, as a group, pick one of these, and that's already the third then submission. When I ask you what I want at the end, look down here, it says submissions, I think. Come on. Yeah, here, submissions. So what routine in the health challenge? And then I make little texting groups of 5 to 10 people, and then a couple times a week I'll send out some, questions, how's it going? And you text me back, and we have a little group activity that way, or help each other a little bit. And it's because it's interesting. After a couple of weeks, there's actually a few things that are interesting that happen. Like the water group usually ends up, having less snacky thing. They eat less snacks, or their skin gets clear without using products. That's often what I hear from people. And of course, the exercise gets a little more stamina building up over time, since we're doing it consistently. And then the meditation group, very often they get more mindful and more content. That's what goes there. Sometimes, in the beginning is a little anxiety. So we have also, the group is also here, so we can talk about it and talk about how, how it makes us feel. Or, too bad, today I drank the water before going to bed and I had to get up all night. That wasn't helpful. So don't do that, or something, just encourage each other a little bit. And so we do that as a group activity, sort of to integrate the overall class also into the health, and wellness is kind of a shishi word in some ways, but it really is about how do I feel in my body, and the elements of nutrition, chemical, or how we think about ourselves, or stress, and then also the physical. Those are sort of the elements we can change and increase or help, and that's what the activity is overall kind of about, really. All right. Is that helpful? Are you asleep?
Yes, that was really helpful. Thank you.
Good.
I understand how to do it now.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Any other questions on this first week? We also have this labeling and coloring thing. Did you guys? That's fairly self-explanatory, right?
Yeah, it was.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You can go ahead first.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty self-explanatory. The only part that I kind of struggled with was talking about the like what's it called? Like when you go superior, posterior, anterior. Like when it comes to that, I got a little bit confused. But after a while, I kind of like understood, and like understanding that I thought the wrist was like superior to the hand, but it's actually like, I think, proximal.
Yeah, it's a little goofy, right? It's like the superior means above, and inferior below, and anterior in front, and posterior in the back. But then with distal and proximal, it's like, where are the arms attached and the legs attached? And so you use those, right, closer to the attachment of the legs or the arms versus further away. So, it is a little bit getting used to the new language type stuff. So, that's why those are kind of, good things for flashcards, just in terms we're exposing ourselves to it once a day or so to think about it. And then it becomes sort of second nature. And then when I talk about it in the lab, and use those terms, and you guys use them a little, and that comes second nature. Yeah. Any? How about the regional terms? How did they go? Were those all right?
Yeah, the regional terms are okay.
They're okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then the last one, what do we do? The concept understanding, was that okay? That could be a little tricky sometimes with the structure dictates function. Did you guys get that? Seems like from the what I've seen so far in the grading.
Sorry, I'm interrupting. And with the labeling and coloring, I couldn't do the coloring because I didn't have a printer at home and I couldn't print it. So I tried to do it on computer, but I couldn't do it after even downloading it.
Yeah. So you know what? You can always also just draw it and take a picture or trace
Okay,
it.
I will do that now and do that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because that, the more you actually engage with the material, it helps actually to just, and I'm not going to ding you if it doesn't look like that exactly or so. It's like, it's about your learning. It's like what works for you. And the more you, or at least I found it with me and many of my former students, the more you engage with the material, like then drawing it, even if it looks goofy, it doesn't matter. If it just symbolizes what you want to make, that's enough, because that's a visual for you. All right. So yeah. Always good. I had one guy, when he came to muscles and bones, he would make videos. And say, like, this is this bone, and then he would like find a picture on the internet and put the arrow onto it with music in the back. I mean, that he processed the material. It's a little overboard, you would think, but it was really great. He had the time. All right.
I had a question about the concepts.
Yes.
I had with the homeostasis, the process of it, of understanding it, and like the different. I think it was. I forgot, but basically the whole process. It was kind of hard to.
Like how do you stay balanced in the system? That part, like the homeostasis, like the negative feedback loop, then, right? Like how we keep the system in balance.
Yes, the negative feedback.
Yeah. So first of all, we always have to understand that the word negative does not mean it's bad. All right. It just means it's the opposite. So it should almost be called opposite feedback loop, because it's like if the body inside is too hot, we have to make it colder. That's the opposite. And then how do we do that? So, and the balance is what the homeostasis is. Like the inside temperature is always more or less, but pretty narrow in a range of what's acceptable. And then that's homeostasis. And then even though outside is cold, your body has mechanisms to make it warmer on the inside so it doesn't cool down. It can shiver like the muscles can use. You can go run around. That makes a lot of heat. For example. And so then doing that, not letting it get out of being too cold, because the outside's cold. So you think the body will get cold, but not let that happen. That's then keeping the body in homeostasis, keeping it in balance in terms of the temperature on the inside. And then you can extrapolate, what the body would do if it's outside too cold and it will cool down. Like then we shiver, we run around. Or if it's 100 degrees outside and you're like, that's going to boil my blood up, the body will do what? It will start sweating, for example. And then that carries the inside heat to the outside. And that's what's going to be week 2, actually. I think we got a bunch of chemistry. And we talk about water and the qualities of water in the body, because water is a lot what's in the body. And one of the qualities water has is that it can absorb a lot of heat. Heat energy before it changes its shape or before it changes its state, like before it goes from liquid to boiling. It's really a long time. And so that quality is called the absorb. It absorbs the heat. And then what we can do in the body with that, we can say, if it's too hot outside, we can actually take inside heat out and get rid of it in the body and cool the body that way. And that's what sweating is. It's a little goofy, but it works that way. And you can see the temperature capacity of heat when you go to the ocean versus the inland. The inland is usually much hotter or much colder the ocean time place is much more tempered weather, or not the weather, but the temperature. And that's because you're close to a body of water and balances out the temperature. Would that help a little bit? No?
Yes, it did.
Yes,
Thank
yes, it
Okay.
did.
Yeah, you gotta stop me if I get too chatty. Talk about that coffee thing, yeah. Any other questions to that concept thing? That's good. Ask these questions. It's great. That way we get through. And the other ones up here are, so you got the question things, the question things, the quizzy type stuff. You can take these over and over again. You got that? Anybody? Make sure you understand that. You can take these as many times as you want, use as long as you want. The highest score counts. That way, these questionnaires are here to understand the videos better. That's really why I made them up. And so use them as such, okay? Don't worry about if you get a low score. We just do it again, get a high score. But it also means you can get a good score by doing busy work, and that means you have to do the busy work. Otherwise, you're gonna. It's not just, you can't just say, "Oh, but my tests were great," and but that's not the only thing that counts in this class. So make sure you keep up the work as well. And then study tools. I'm going through it. It's always fascinating. I want us to think about the ways of studying a little bit. So that's what that is about. So I'm going through those right now. And that's it. The Padlet, I'm also going through those. So be a little patient with me with the grading. I'll try to do everything today, but that means probably tomorrow as well. Week 2. Again, interrupt me if something's left on week 1, but week 2 is what we got now. And when we go into the first prompt, oh no, that's actually where this video is going to go. Hold on, that's the second prompt. The second prompt shows us kind of what we're talking about this week, and what we're dealing with this week is we're dealing with chemistry more. We're dealing with chemistry. So we talk first about the basic chemistry, the inorganic chemistry. When we look at atoms, we look at matter, and how bonds are made, how atoms connect together. That's really the important part that for us is mostly how the molecules connect and interact with one another, because that's really what then we use to understand how the body works. So the chemistry part of this class is really geared to us understanding how the body works. And we really get first into the fundamental structure, but then very fast we really just talk about molecules that we have inside the body. And that's then the carbohydrates, the fats, the proteins, the DNA. And so that, then it becomes very specific already. So don't be too shy with the word chemistry, or don't be too worried about the word chemistry. And it's a great place to know if to make sure you understand the foundation. So, make sure you understand this level of chemistry and ask questions if you don't. And don't let it just pass by. Oh, this reminds me 2 things. 1, test review. Make sure you look at the test review early, because these are all the points I need you to know for the test. And you can make one cheat sheet card. I explained that in lab already. I will again. A 5x7 flashcard you're allowed to bring to the test. And these are all the points of the different chapters that are in the first test that I need you to know. So if as you go through the videos, he wants to know this and this and this and this. And as the video goes, you can understand it and check it off. And then all you have to do, once you understand those bullet points, you have to just memorize them or go through multiple times. And then that's where the flashcard system is very handy. And
Excuse me.
Yes.
Is that where is that under the week 2 objectives, the main concepts for that we need for the test?
Yeah, but this is more, the review is more where it's specifically showing you everything you need to know for the test. So the concepts are more to process the material.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, the concepts are also in the review then as well.
Okay.
So if you actually, you can also go if you actually don't really understand the concept or need to look it up, you can actually go to the review and see if you find it there, because then you're already processing that material that way.
Got it.
But you want
Thank
to
you.
make sure all those bullet points on the review, you understand them, and don't just, memorize them verbatim. Understand them and come talk to me or other, fellow students in class or whatever if you don't, because those are the things that the knowledge base that we want you to have at the end of the semester.
Okay.
Okay. And talking about that, do you guys know about the Khan Academy? Anyone?
Yeah.
You know, right? You had that before. So the
Mhm.
Khan Academy now has Khan Migo, it's called, and we can play more in class about it, but it's got a tutoring model, an AI tutoring module. So if you don't understand something, you can go to that on your phone, and I got to make sure we have it because I can show you tonight and then Wednesday on your phone, and you can ask it questions, and it helps you come up with the end. It doesn't tell you the answer right away. It helps you understand it by guiding you to it. And I think it's very powerful. So I want to make sure we talk about that a little bit as we go through the class, so at least you check it out, or if you want to check out something, you have a place to go. Another one that came across these days with AI stuff was the Coconuts. Have you heard of that one before? The Coconuts?
No.
So that's also pretty neat. You can feed in YouTubes or transcripts, or have it record a lecture you're in, and it summarizes your notes and organizes it according to topics, and then it makes flashcards out of it if you want, or although I have some questions about some of that stuff, or it quizzes you on the material as well, which is a very interesting way to process material, depending on how, you process material. So that's one to kind of check out a little bit if you feel like that kind of stuff. Yeah. We gotta, the question with AI is, what are we going to do about it? And a lot of us are just sort of feeling like, well, that's just, I don't want to touch it. But the reality is, we got to learn how to work with it for a little bit. And so if I can help you out a little where I've been going so far, or you help me out, let's talk about it. So that's just on that topic. But then when we look at week 2, we got these chemistry videos. They're quite extensive. That's why it's just one prompt. And then we have questionnaires. Look, the questions are quite extensive. So again, no time limit at all. You can work through those, keep it open, do something else, come back. Nobody looks at the time. It's just, that's why it's just in one pile, and it's not multiple different assignments. But it also gives you that amount of points. So every question usually is a point in the quiz and in the question department. And then I have a couple more assignments. A few more actually. We have an explain through images assignment that I put in the beginning of the semester. And the reason why I put it in is because that's how I realized, pictures are worth 1,000 words. Or depending, but depending on how many, but that sort of like a picture visualizes something usually much better than some words. And when I made my classes, I, started going to Google and just put in, some type thing and images, and then it comes up, and then copy paste into a document. And that's how that stuff got created originally. And I realized that, the majority of you guys probably know this stuff at this point, but I realize I always have a few who don't. So I want you to go through the process one time with just doing it in a class, assignment. And that way everybody's sort of on board. And if you haven't done that before, you learn maybe a new skill that, helps you in your journey through the studies. Because there's just really so much available these days on online. And if you know how to get the right stuff, then if then you can utilize a lot of these tools, or even screenshot. I've learned this just lately. when I go to Merced to videotape, the IT people, they like, a lot of that is just copy paste screenshot and then paste it into something else. You don't even have to download the picture. Just that I haven't even described to doing it that way. That's even a better way. So I have to go through this at some point. Anyway, so we'll do that process once and then talk about it a little bit. And so that gives you a little points. And then the other one here that's a little on the goofy side is my Spotlight Scientists. And I started that when we did an equity rubric course I did with Peralta, actually, but it was for the state of California, for the CC's community colleges, and the question always is in science, it's like it's often just white guys doing the science. I mean, that's changed too. I mean, that's a stereotype. I'm sure that's changed, but in this activity I just kind of want us to share about a curious person that makes us that sparks our curiosity. In reality, I put it in as a minority, but it doesn't have to be a minority. It can also be like, Galileo, and he was prosecuted by the church because he had some ideas that they didn't like early on, and then it became norm. So that's also in some a minority too. So so part of that was it's just for sort of helping us understand. Yes, I can do it too. For me, I was never really good in school, but it turns out I'm really good with my hands and with muscles, and I can help people with their pain really well. And so it was important for me to, at some point, realize that, like, no, I gotta, work on what I'm good at and go as hard as I can on that front and work as hard. I don't have to be intimidated just because I don't know, didn't get in med school or something like that, or it was chemistry wasn't for me or something like that. So that's kind of why I did that kind of thing, really. What you do is you go have a person that you like already and go to Wikipedia, read their first paragraph, go into this Google map. What you have to do is you open it. You have to sign in, but it's a Google. So I was, if you have a problem with that, text me. I can help you. I can do your post or something. I mean, you give me the post and I put it up in a pin. And then you go into the map. You find the birthplace of the person. Let's see if you can go into the map real quick. Actually, I have it open somewhere else too. But you go into the birthplace. Oops. Share. Am I not logged in? Oh, edit? No. Why am I not logged in? There we go. That's a better one. So you can go in here, you go into edit, and then you go in here and put the birthplace in, and then you put a pin down. And then in the paragraph where you describe it, you just copy paste Wikipedia. What I do is I take the citations out, just delete them real quick so it's a little easier to read, or how you pronounce somebody's name. That's sometimes a little weird and cumbersome. And then I put in a couple of pictures of the person and then put that on the world map. And then from there, we can then look at each other's a little bit and get an idea. And so I put a couple in here to just get the process started. One is Mrs. Einstein. One is Hildegard from Bingen, and then the other one is Madame Curie, who discovered the radiographs, X-rays. And so, make it. It's supposed to be a fun thing, so don't make it too hard on yourself. Just more like a curiosity sparking activity. And then we got a couple of discussions, concept discussions this week. There's just a few concepts that are important. I feel that I want you to think a little bit more about and just write a couple sentences each on. It doesn't have to be extensive. Some of you guys write a lot, and then some of you guys are very minimal, and both are okay. It's really about how you process the material. So I want you to be not as too beholden on 150 words. No, answer the questions, and then you're fine. And I'm not going to, at some point I'm going to take this thing out. But if I don't have, then then everybody asks the question of how much. So in reality, it's really about answering the questions and processing the material multiple times in different formats, and then then you sticks and you can, then it stays in the head. I used the word massage the material into head because I'm a massage therapist. And then we want to also process this food stuff, this chemistry, this carbohydrates and all that, fats and all that in our real life. And then that comes to the food label. So in this activity, I want you to get to the nutrition fact label, and I want you to analyze that thing a little bit because I never look at it. Well, I guess that's not true. I look at sodium actually, but maybe the calories, but not really more than that. And so in this activity, I would like you to pick a couple of foods from the cabinet that you have, a snacky thing, and whatever you like. Well, the one you really like the best, who knows if it's really bad? Don't analyze that. I don't want to spoil it for you. But then also pick up a fruit and pick up a vegetable. Each, and those you have to probably look up on Google for the nutrition facts. But then I want you to go through this whole list and extract and write down the data from here and put it into this table, or make your own table. You don't have to use this table. You just make your own table. And the thing you have to make sure that's really tricky is that you make sure how many servings are per container and how many servings did you eat. And then you multiply or divide these numbers by that. And then the other thing, and so the serving size is actually the trick, right? Oh, I just ate chips. You ate the whole bag and you look at this and go like, oh, look, this is all I ate. But the thing is, it's at 12 servings per container. Then that's a bit of a problem. Of course, that, we know that. But I'm going to make sure that you watch out for. And then the other one to watch out for is sometimes it says daily value and sometimes it doesn't. The percent daily value is interesting because you can say like, oh, look, I ate 18% of fat in this serving, and that's about 20%. It's about a fifth. So I ate about a fifth. That's a little easier for me, at least, to understand than I ate 12 grams. Like, well, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Is that good or bad? Who knows? And it's about measure. It's all about measure in this. Well, there's some things like, hey, did you see the red food dye is finally being taken out of the food chain? Have you seen that? Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard about that. And now they're starting to look for alternatives on like all the foods, as in like Cheetos and all that stuff.
I was in Cairo school, I'm dating myself, in the late 90s, and they were talking about neurotoxins in the food dyes. And I'm like, yeah. And now look where we're at. There's a great app called Yuka, Juka. And it has a screen, you barcode, you scan the barcode, and it goes to data that is collected by the NHI or some agency like that. And it gives you the ingredients of the food. It gives you a score from 1 to 100 if the food, how unedible it is or how edible it is, how good or bad. From all these different, like a Dorito is like, forget it. It gives you a score of 5 out of 100. And then, but the cool thing about that app is then you click on the red thing and it says why, want more. And then 2 clicks into it, it talks immediately about why the red dye is bad, that it causes ADHD in kids and stuff like that. So it's a really powerful app. So you should, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, look it up. Juka. Yuka has a carrot in the front. It's one of the good ones that I found. If you have other ones that you like, stuff like that, bring it up so we can talk about it. Because certainly the phones are tools, and we want to have the benefit from that. It's not just all bad and consumption and so forth. They're also really cool tools. And then, so I want you to track that, and then I want you to answer these kind of questions. What surprised you, blah, blah, blah. And then what impact, are you going to do that again, kind of thing. And then you upload those data points and submit it. And you can do, again, you can make a video, you can, scratch a table on your computer, on your notepad, however you are comfortable doing it. That also helps in making it, not just a torture activity. Make it fun as much as you can. All right. And then what else we got this week?
I do have a question about the lab this week.
Yes, sir.
With the lab that we're doing this week, the gross lab on the rats, do you recommend that we wear clothes that we don't really care about for the smell and everything?
I mean, certainly they're going to have a little smell, but it's not really that bad. And the touching, I mean, if you can, wear some raggedy clothes.
So it's not like the smell of like with the formaldehyde or like a gross lab type of like smell.
No, it's not that bad. It gets maybe a little bit more when we look at the cadavers, but I mean, I think generally, don't wear the nicest clothes to the class if you can. Just come with yourself, but you shouldn't be having smells coming out of there.
Okay.
Yeah. Shouldn't be that bad. Any other question?
For the discussion questions, do you want us to answer those in one post or individually?
Oh, no, just put it all in one post.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe a couple paragraphs. The easiest for me to look at them is if you paragraph them. But nothing fancy. But I take them anyway. You can even draw a picture on them. Well, that's more when you get to the cell, the processes. But even here, However, again, the part of I know it's sometimes a little hard to understand and visualize that, but try to figure out what format works best for you. And especially in the discussions, I do bring that up because for me, and maybe it's my own bias, it's hard to type sometimes. And I know a lot of ESL, it's hard to type. So make sure you don't, if that's pressure, then go to a different format. Okay? All right.
Okay.
Good. So in that case, I think we are pretty good with the situation, what we have in this week. Then we have lab in person. And make sure you come to the Monday section within the Monday section. I should send out a text later on this afternoon if I'm a little behind and somebody is like getting frantic, just text me. And what else is there? I think that's about it. Any questions on your end? No?
Yeah, I have one question.
Okay.
We do have a textbook for this class, right?
Yes, the text booklets, I bring them tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I recommend them. They're $100. I'm sorry, but they have to print them and all that. And they're recommended. The class goes much smoother from the experience. But if you want to wait, or if it's not absolutely obligated. I'm not going to make it.
Okay.
And if you can't just give me the $100 or whatever, then talk to me and we'll spread it out, or you pay me later or something. I want to make sure you have a good learning experience.
Okay.
That part is just so my cost is covered. Yeah. All right. Anybody else?
Hello. I missed last week, and I'm a bit confused on. Do we have a lab today?
Yes, we do. Today we do have a lab.
Okay.
Yes, at 6:00, and I'll send out. Have you been getting texts or not?
I haven't been getting texts. I only got one, but after that, I haven't been getting any. And I've been trying to find the Zoom that you had last week. Because is there a video of it?
Yeah, I did post a video. Let me show you. So then also in lab, make sure if you haven't gotten texts, make sure you tell me or write it down on the sign-in sheet so I can add your right number to the texting grid, because sometimes the school number is not the right number. What were we going to do right now? Oops. Oh, the other, where the video is. The videos, I always put them in here under introduction, the first tab, and it sits right here. There it is. Okay. Is that, can you see that?
Yeah.
So if you go from the module whatever. This was week 1, and then you go to the first tab here, and it's laid behind there. And if I'm spaced out or I forgot or so, and you catch it, it's the old one in there. Just text me and I'll change it. I have that's generally the case. I try to keep up and do everything, but there's a lot of little details, and sometimes an oopsie happens, and so just be my canary in the coal mine and tell me, and then I can fix it right away. So I appreciate your help.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Then I wish you all a wonderful week or a wonderful day. I'll see many of you tonight, and then many others on Wednesday. If you don't know which day, make sure you look in the welcome letter. In there, it says which section is which day. And if you're still confused, just text me. I'm here. All right? Good. Take care. Bye.